This is the KBI's formal investigation of the Clutter family massacre and preceding events of the fleeing suspects. Currently working on the case is Alvin Dewey, an agent responsible for much of western Kansas, Harold Nye, Dewey's principal assistant, and Roy Church, aka Curly, the fastest draw in Kansas, along with Clarence Dunst of the KBI assistants. The suspects. Richard Hitchcock had a normal childhood, happy parents, and did great in high school. He planned to go to college, but when his parents couldn't afford it, he turned to writing hot checks and stealing. He had 2 failed marriages and affairs with multiple women, as well as fathering a few children with his first wife. To get money, he continued his crimes, which eventually got him sent to prison, where he met Smith. He had heard from another prisoner, Floyd Wells, that the Clutter family in Holcomb, Kansas, had a safe with over $10,000 in it. After his release, the two met up and went to steal the money from the safe. Harry Smith spent his early childhood moving from place to place, home to home. After his mother left his father for beating her, he later died from asphyxiating on her vomit while intoxicated. Both a brother and sister of his had committed suicide. After a short stint in the military, he was arrested for petty crimes. Here's where he met the accomplice, Mr. Richard Hitchcock, in Folsom Prison. Early morning of November 15th, 4 members of the Clutter family were found dead in the house. Herb Clutter, community leader, owner of the River Valley Farm, a strict Methodist, and one of the few who had served under the Federal Farm Credit Board created by President Eisenhower, had been tied up and his throat was slit by Smith. He was then shot and post-mortem placed on a mattress. Kenyon Clutter, a 15-year-old boy, much into carpentry and machines, was tied up on the downstairs couch with his mouth taped and a pillow under his head. He was shot in the head by Smith. It is still unclear who has killed Bonnie and Nancy Clutter, both found upstairs, tied up with their mouths taped. It appears Nancy might have struggled against an assault. Nancy Clutter is one of the youngest of the Clutter family, considered the darling, a class president, and projected future prom queen. It is known that before death, she may have taken precautions to hide a valuable inside her shoe, leading us to believe that she may have been aware of possible burglars. However, only a small amount of money was taken from the house. The only clue from the crime scene he had to go off of was a boot print next to the body of Herb. Bonnie Clutter withdrew from the public image that her husband had said she suffered from depressive mental disorder, spending the majority of her time in bed, but had recently recovered before being murdered. The investigation. We were running out of leads when we got a tip from prisoner Floyd Wells. Wells, a former cellmate of Hitchcock, recounted of how he told Hitchcock about the Clutter family. Wells also said that he explained the layout of the house and that they have a safe with a lot of money. Hitchcock had confessed to Wells that he had planned to rob the Clutter family and leave no witnesses. We then turned our search onto the 4 named suspects. One of our agents visited the Hitchcock family under the pretenses that they were investigating some bad checks, as not to reveal our investigation into the murders. We then obtained pictures of the suspects, and they were confirmed by witnesses in Kansas City to be the writer of some bad checks. One of our agents, Nye, set out to Las Vegas in hopes of finding Smith. Instead, he came across some personal belongings, allowing us to get to know who we were dealing with. We investigated Smith's lone relative, his only surviving sibling, who said she hadn't seen him in years. After the convicts traveled from state to state, we were finally able to pick them up in Vegas for driving a stolen car. Once we started questioning, they sang like canaries. It was easy from there. We had our confessions. Hitchcock was the first to talk, and soon after Smith did too. He changed the story a couple of times, but a large part of the facts stayed the same. After pleading insanity, both murderers were sentenced to death. But the end result is never that easy. Hitchcock was found to have a brain damage, and Smith having a serious mental disorder, but neither was presented in court. Both men have since been executed. But does the killing of 2 men justify the killing of 4 other people? That is for you to decide yourself.